Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you've had a lovely week. It's been a lovely week here as well. I've had a couple of days off work, and I have been able to spend some time with my children. Not that I've spent the past 6 months with them, but obviously sometimes when you're working, you're engrossed with work, but I've been able to spend some time with them. We've been able to do a couple of things, and yes, it's been, but things are opening up. We're getting ready to go back to school. They're going back to school. Yay! They're going back to school in 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks. I remember in March, for some of my friends who are watching this, they would remember that when the lockdown happened and the schools were closed down, and people would say, oh, the kids are not going back to school until September. I would be like, God forbid, I reject it. What do you mean? Of course they're going back to school. They cannot go back to school. But lo and behold, they're just going back to school in September, and we've survived. So well done, everyone. Well done to the children. Sometimes you forget about how it must have been for them as well. You know, we get so stuck up into the things, the inconvenience, but it must have been inconvenient for them. So they've done so well. Hopefully they're able to go back to school and they're going to be safe, and everything would gradually come back to some sort of normalcy for them. And I just hope that we're all safe and well and everything goes well and we don't have another second wave of the coronavirus. I know that God is going to take control. So I'm doing a review today of a book, but it's not necessarily a novel, or it's not necessarily a large book of work. It's a collection of essays written by one of my favorite authors ever, Chinua Achebe. If you followed my page for a while, you will know that I am a very, very big lover of African literature, and I consider him one of the pioneers of that genre. His book, Things Fall Apart, is the one book, you know, when people ask about that one book that you've read, I have read it over 8 times. I read it as a child, as part of my literature text. I read it when I went to university as part of my literature text. And it's not just a book I read because it was a literature or prescribed reading. It's a book that I've actually picked up myself and actually read again. You know, I've checked it out of the library about, if you check my library card, I think I've checked it out of the library about 2 or 3 times, and it's one that I'm contemplating actually buying and putting in my own personal library. I'm building a library. Anyway, I thought I'll do a review from one of his collection of essays called Africa's Tarnished Image. It's one of the Penguin classics, and it's comprised of a lot of books by quite a number of authors across the world. You've got James Baldwin, you've got Martin Luther King. So they've got this really mini series about essays that quite a number of them wrote. So this is one of them that I have in my library, and I thought I'd do a reading about it. And the reason why I'm doing this particular reading from this group of for this collection of essays is it talks about a topic that is very dear to me, and it's about this perception of Africa, or the way Africa has been sold in mainstream media and all over the world, and even how sometimes we Africans perceive Africa. Now, disclaimer here, I know Africa has problems. I know there are issues. I know that there are things that we can do better. A lot of things. No one criticizes Africa more than me. But I also want us to look at the other coin. And that's what Chinua Achebe tried to talk about in this. And if you've read a couple of his other collection of essays, you will know that he is also a critic as well, as in he's not making excuses. He pulls no punches at all in trying to point out things that we can do as citizens and what our leaders could do better in Africa. But this is just for us to have a thought about all of the ways that we portray Africa and the way Africa is portrayed by mainstream media, which in no little way contributes to the perception and the stereotypes that we have when we're confronted as Africans, regardless of wherever we go. So, you know, think about it, even you as an African, even my children say some really, really weird things about Africa, where I always say, where did you get that from? You know, and that's what plays into the psyche of quite a number of people. So the book is called, I said, it's not the book, but the collection of essays is called Africa's Tarnished Image, and it's made up of 4 essays. What is Nigeria to me, Traveling White, Africa's Tarnished Image, and Africa is People. And I'm going to be reading excerpts from Africa is People, and I'll just quickly read it and tell you what I've taken from it and what we can also take from it and learn from it. So I'm reading from Africa is People. For too long, the world has been content to judge people and nations in distress, largely on the basis of racist stereotypes drawn from mythologies of oppression. In 1910, at the height of British imperial dominion, John Buchan, a popular novelist who was also a distinguished imperial civil servant, published a colonialist classic entitled Presenter John, in which we find the following pronouncement: "That is the difference between white and black, the gift of responsibility. I do not believe such a difference exists, except in the mythology of domination. Let's put this to the test by giving these poor black nations the first sporting chance of their lives. The cost is low, and the rewards will blow our minds, white and black alike. Trust me." Let me round this up with a nice little coda. Africa is people has another dimension. Africa believes in people, in cooperation with people. If the philosophical dictum of Descartes, "I think, therefore I am," represents an European individualistic ideal, the Bantu Declaration, Umuntu Ngumuntu Ngabantu, represents an African communal aspiration. A human is human because of other humans. Our humanity is contingent on the humanity of our fellows. No person or group can be human alone. We rise above the animal together, or not at all. If we learned that lesson, even this late in the day, we would have taken a truly millennial step forward. I'm going to read a part again that says, a human is human because of other humans. Our humanity is contingent on the humanity of our fellows. No person or group can be human alone. Isn't that such a wonderful concept? A human is human because of other humans. And what I take away from this is that at the end of it all, when we talk about things, we talk about statistics, we talk about people. For instance, when we're talking about the coronavirus, we've heard so many statistics. X amount of jobs are lost, X amount of people have died, X amount of industries. At the end, or at the core of everything that we're talking about here, is basically human beings. So when we talk about 500,000 jobs lost, we're talking about one person who's not going to be able to pay their mortgage, or they're not going to be able to pay their rent. When we talk about someone dying as a result of certain issues, we're talking about a person's uncle, a person's auntie, or a person's sister. At the end of it all, we're human beings. A human is human because of other humans. Our humanity is contingent on other human beings. And there's an European ideal, which I also subscribe to a certain level, which believes that yes, we are all individually responsible for things that happen to us. But I want us to also think a bit further about the fact that our humanity is contingent upon other people's humanity. We're in this together, and we're ever human together. At the end of the day, every single person created, I'm a Christian, in the image of God, is created in the image of God. And so we are human together. We are human together. So there is no, regardless of who you are, black, white, whatever, green, I don't like it when people use all those analogies. There's no green people and there's no green people. Because whenever you hear people say, I don't care whether you're green, whether you're purple, they're about to say all lives matter. And I'm not going to go into that argument here. We all know that all lives matter. It was never up for debate that all lives didn't matter. But you know where I'm getting at. So I don't want to go into that discussion. Basically, what I am saying is that this essay talks about the fact that our humanity is tied to the humanity of others. And regardless of status, regardless of social standing, let's pause to think about human beings. And so one of the admonitions, or one of the things I want us to take away as we go into the week, is as we're relating with people, as we're thinking about people, believe me, this is very hard, even I find it difficult sometimes, is to think about, at the core of it all, the human beings. And regardless of what they have or what they don't have or who they are or what they don't do, they are human beings. They are created in the image of God, and they are just as human as me. They are just as human as the next person. So will I accord them that dignity? Even if they are poor, would I accord them that dignity? One of the best ways, and one of the biggest attributes that I find endearing in any human being, is if that person is able to treat everyone not the same. It's not possible to treat everyone the same, but is able to accord everyone some level of respect and dignity regardless of who they are. So what tells me a lot about you is, how do you treat the CEO? Is it how you treat the CEO different from how you treat the cleaner? If you cannot see the humanity of the cleaner and you just see the humanity of the CEO, then I begin to wonder. And I think we all have that tendency in us, but it's something that we have to work on. And I think we can actually do better. And if only we remember that. As he said, I'll read what he quickly said. He said, we rise above the animal together or not at all. If we learned that lesson even this late in the day, we would have taken a truly millennial step forward. We need to take a millennial step forward. We need to begin to think about humans. We need to think about people. Africa is people. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I know that came across as a TED Talk, not like a book review, but it's just something I'm very passionate about, and obviously the book touched on it and I love it. I think I've read like 3 times. It's a very short read. You can read it in an hour if you're a very fast reader, but I pause sometimes and highlight stuff and cancel out stuff, but you can read it. Believe me, I say you can read it in an hour because it's very small, it's very short. So yeah, that's my book review today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you take away something and you've learned something from it today. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to be able to see you again next week. Have a lovely week. Bye.